Welcome back to the Homestead. All right, my friends, we were 2 inches away today. 2 inches away from having a president be assassinated. And yes, this was an assassination attempt. It is absolutely gross and disgusting that not just current President Biden, but also the media being so unwilling to call this what it is. Obviously an assassination attempt. President Trump just tweeted a message about how he heard the bullet whizzing past his ear and felt it rip through his flesh. It's a bullet aimed at the president's head. This is a very sad day for America. The reason I wanted to do a video on this at this very, very strange day, first of all, there's a gentleman that lost his life. He was hit in the crosshairs, and he's deceased. The shooter's deceased, and this innocent person who goes to a political rally is dead because he went to see his candidate speak. The last 2 videos I have done, in my opinion, ties directly with what we have going on. The one was America in Danger, and the other one is about a 2,500-year-old prophecy called Ezra Eagle, which predicts chaos. If you haven't seen that, I would maybe suggest go give it a try, because if it's true, we are just seeing the beginning. So my hearts and prayers are out, of course, to President Trump and his family, to anyone that was there, and especially the family members of the gentleman who was shot and killed. Now, something that is really heavy on my mind right now, and I've mentioned it in other videos, is that the protective hand of God seems to be lifting, moving away from America, because we are becoming less moral. It is directly tied. If you keep the commandments, you will prosper in the land, and if you don't, God's protective hand will leave. Just as President Washington said, God, as we serve you, may the propitious smiles of heaven fall upon us. Guys, that was a covenant by our first president, and we are seeing the ramifications of it. Now, I think it is by providence of God that President Trump, 2 inches, I'll put this image in, there's a bullet captured on film by one of these journalists whizzing right past President Trump's head. And 2 inches, and you and I would be having a different discussion. We would have a constitutional crisis. It sounds like the Secret Service. Now, first of all, President Trump has commended the Secret Service for the excellent job that they did. So let's remember that. There was a lot of heroes today, sure. But it has been reported now that the Trump team has made requests for greater Secret Service presence. And that is under President Joe Biden, ultimately, and his cabinet Secretary Mayorkas, who has denied extra help. I'm not willing to give that a pass. People need to be fired. Yes, there might be some accountability in the Secret Service, sure. The shooter was able to get within 150 yards of President Trump. 150 yards. I mean, that is a massive, massive breakdown. What a sad and horrible day. On something else that really makes me upset, I am obviously somebody who is going to be voting for President Trump before, during, after this event. Sure, some of you might be voting for Biden, that's fine, and some of you might be voting for Robert Kennedy. Imagine this, Robert Kennedy, whose dad was assassinated and whose uncle was assassinated. A former president, former senator. Robert Kennedy is a major candidate, and he has been denied, still to this point, Secret Service protection. I mean, all of these situations combined with that individual who, again, I'm not voting for. There's things I like about him, especially when it came to medical freedoms. But overall, as far as a conservative candidate that I want, he does not have my vote. But in my opinion, he deserves protection. And we're not doing it. Guys, America is in a gross kind of free fall. And I think that's why I want to make this video today. This is a homestead channel. You know, I'm surrounded by water catchments and silos filled with grain and a greenhouse that performs off grid and milk cows and goats. And why do we do it? Why do we do any of this? Guys, it is for this moment, because I would suggest to you that things in America are not going to get any better. It's not. It's actually going to get worse. It is. So what are you going to do about it? You've got to find a way to insulate yourself from the chaos which is coming. That's why we do homesteads. That's why we do prepping. So this is definitely a time to sit down with your kids and maybe just have a little bit of a reality check with them that, you know what, life can get hard. The thing I've tried to do with my kids from an early age is teach them how to work. Because if we go into some hard situations, let's say that the Ezra Eagle prophecy, 1,000-year-old prophecy does come about, and we see more of what we saw today, more of this occurs. If your kids know how to work, and if you know how to work, you're going to be better off. You know, when we bought the Pioneer Cottage next door, we fixed it up and we lived in it for 1 year while we built our current house. And before we even started breaking ground on this house, we planted 50 fruit trees. And I did so that my kids would be forced to work. You know, and the cool thing is that because of that foresight and because of those prepper tendencies, you know, we have mature fruit trees. And so if we don't take some of these things into our own hands, and if we don't force our kids to work in a life of gluttony and ease, then our kids are going to grow up with social anxieties unlike you've ever even imagined. It's happening all around us. Work is a spiritual necessity. One of my favorite quotes from a gentleman I respect very well, Neil A. Maxwell. He was a church leader. So I'm threading the needle again, guys. This is chaotic. Pray for our country. Pray for President Trump. Pray that America can get its morality back. Because without morality, guys, without the Judeo-Christian values taught to us in the Bible that informed the Constitution, without that, this whole thing doesn't work. And I'm afraid that's what we're seeing. I'm just going to end with this last thought. But what happened today changes the whole trajectory of the political landscape. Because obviously things are going to galvanize in favor of President Trump. And I would also say on the other side, you know, there was a coordinated, very elite, top-down coup d'etat against President Biden. President Biden was fighting against that, but whoever that is, whoever they are, I mean, suddenly they must realize that their plans to put somebody else in power that wasn't voted in the Democratic Party primaries, that effort is going to be more challenged now. And so these people must be scrambling. And what does that mean? Does that make the world more or less stable? I think, you know, it feels much like 2019, early 2020s, and you could just feel a shift beginning to occur. I feel like that's where we're at politically. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about the dollar reserve being threatened. I know it's economics, but I'm going to tie it with a prophecy found in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, regarding Mystery Babylon. And so I've always wanted to Ezra Eagle and Mystery Babylon. Now's the time. I think it all relates. So we'll see you on the next video for that. And then we will get back to the homestead, because every day I wake up and I feed the animals. They're still there. Every day I water the greenhouse. So those things are still occurring, and hopefully you're keeping busy. It is not the time to let up. See you next video. Like and subscribe.